Inside, you've got a much more cramped interior. Even with the seat all the way down, my head will hit the roof. See what I mean about the headroom? And if I sit in a normal driving position, I can't see above 60. But it does have some positives. You could get a stock standard Triton, take it into your TJM dealership and say, give me everything you've got, and you'd end up with a vehicle that will match a stock standard troop carrier in nearly every single aspect. And did I mention the troop carrier doesn't even come standard with air conditioning? That's like going to a boat dealership and saying, I want a yacht, but the sail's extra. It doesn't make sense. Oh. This vehicle definitely has some major positives over the troop carrier in the sense that it's much easier to drive in soft sand. It's got a good 5-speed automatic transmission and a peppy little diesel. It's only a 2.5 litre 4-cylinder turbocharged motor up against a V8 4.5 litre, but it's a much quicker point-to-point vehicle. It's got a much better turning circle. Its big Achilles heel though is the fact that it doesn't have anywhere near as much ground clearance. Going along these tight, twisty tracks, the troop carrier feels a little too big for them in some instances. The Triton, every time we've done a U-turn so far on the trip, Donnie's just been able to go whoop around me, no worries. This vehicle is considerably more practical than the troop carrier in the sense it's got rear doors. It's really painful to try and get someone in behind you in the back of the troop carrier. If you got someone who had never driven off-road before, they'd be much better at driving off-road in the Triton because it does so much more for you. The auto's quick to change down, it's got traction control. This trip probably hasn't been the best example of the Triton's off-road capability because I think if someone else perhaps was driving, it would have gone everywhere the trippy was.
I've got a leaning towards this vehicle because it's a bit of a muscle car, and 1-ton utes are 1-ton utes. They're reasonably capable off-road, but they are just a little lightweight. You strip the style side off.
Is that right, Joe?
Oh.
Now you guys might be watching this and thinking, oh, these guys are doing a lot of editing and setting up Don all the time, but I kid you not, I've been only driving this thing for about 4 minutes, then over the radio I hear, Toby, I'm stuck. And here's a classic example of how to... I can't even...
How's an example?
Okay, now this is a classic example of how someone gets a troopy stuck. I don't even know how he does it, I'm perfectly honest with you. Don, this is some sort of special gift you've got. Don is getting the snatch ready, but just in case for some reason he's done something weird, I'm just going to try and get it out. I don't like my chances though. He's really good at getting vehicles ultra stuck. You know, there's all different scales of getting bogged, but there's a normal bog and then there's a Don bog. It's a lot bigger and worse. I forgot to say when Don and I swapped over vehicles that he should just stick to the tracks because this is what happens if you don't give him precise instructions. Impressive, isn't it?
As we get closer to the Sandy Cape, you really do feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. It's ideally suited to anyone who wants to explore Fraser's more remote side.
Well, this is the Sandy Cape, Fraser Island's most northern point. It's by far my favourite spot on the island. To my right, that's where we've just come from. That's the surf side, that's where Indian Head is, all the things you've just seen. Right now where I'm standing, the barge is 121k away. To my left, this is the most pristine part of the island, I reckon. The water's usually always very calm here and it's home to a huge variety of marine life. And behind that tree line out there, that's where the Sandy Cape Lighthouse is, and that's where we're heading now.
We're on a tight time frame, as we only have a couple of hours to get to the lighthouse and back to Ngala Rocks before high tide. We're also running out of daylight, and just when we don't need any more delays, Don finds a way.
Would you believe it? Donnie's done it again.
I think just the slightest nudge, Toby.
With Don out of his umpteenth bog, it's time to hit the 1.2 kilometre hike up to the lighthouse. Having attained a fitness level of an Olympic athlete, Don really shines best out of the vehicle.
Whew. I feel like I'm pushing a Mazda 121.
Just as well he's trained on the Glasshouse Mountains, he's done this in a senior's record time.
Whew. Well, we've covered about 400 odd K on this trip and we've deviated where possible to put the vehicles through their paces. But this last, what, 1.2k? What do you reckon, Don? Has that been the hardest?
Mate, that has blown me up completely. I'm staggering.
Well, you're nearly here. Each one of these panels, believe it or not, weighs more than the Troopy, 3.5 tonne, each one of them. And it's 126 metres or something like that above sea level.
Well, it's nice we don't have to climb it. I'm happy. That is worth coming for, isn't it, Toby?
It certainly is. Pretty much the best view on the island, I reckon. You see the reef out there?
A quick look and we're off again. We don't have the luxury of sightseeing as the tide is well and truly on the way back in and we've got a long way to go.
A lot of people don't realise that with an incoming tide, it doesn't take that much amount of water to actually lift a big four-wheel drive like this and drag you off further into the surf, or worse still, onto a ledge like Ningala Rocks. And if that happens, because you've got an incoming tide, no one can really come and save you. So you've got no real other option than to abandon the vehicle and hope it doesn't get damaged too much.
Plenty of vehicles have been lost over the years with people taking on the tide. So unless you're sure you can make it through, it's not worth the risk. Our situation is getting grimmer by the minute, battling tide and time.
Well, we've got a big problem here because it took longer to get up to the Sandy Cape than we thought and do the hike up to the lighthouse. The tide is well and truly on the way in. Now, it's never a good idea to try and outrun the tide, but I think if we can get through here, we'll be safe. So, Don, I think we're going to try and make it go through here. I'm just going to wait for a small set. It's coming up now, and I'll go through, and then once I've gone through, follow in after me, okay?
Okay, mate.
All right, let's do it.
Even small waves like this can very easily wash the sand out from underneath the Troopy's tyres, causing the chassis to suction cap itself to the sand. So it's absolutely vital you don't slow down. One tip, keep up a controlled pace and select a gear that avoids the need to change down or up. In the Troopy, I'm using 3rd gear low range that offers plenty of momentum and low down torque.
Hey guys, I'm through, Don. Just don't slow down when the waves come up against the wheels.
Yeah, roger that, Toby. I just need to watch the waves and need to be sure that the ocean floor is solid underneath me. So here we go.
Don's never been afraid to attack things with a little bit of speed, and with his extra ballast on board, there's no way that Triton's going to be floating away in a hurry. He's handling the challenge with cool, calm and confidence. That's our Don. Now here's a look from the passenger's point of view from inside the Triton, taking a saltwater bath. Well done, Don.
A little bit of thrill for the afternoon, boys.
It's not over yet. The battle with the tide still lies ahead.
Even though we got past that wet section back there around the trees and we've got a little bit more space to work with, because the tide's still coming in, we've got to power through this soft sand section, which is really slowing down our progress. So I think we've got at least another half an hour to go before we get to Ningala, and it will definitely be dark by then. So luckily there is a spot I know of just before you get to Ningala where you can get up onto a little ledge. So if the tide does come up too high, we'll just have to wait for it to drop again.
With sunlight fading fast and the high water peaking, we have to make the decision to stay at Ningala Rocks and wait for the tide to turn. This is certainly not an ideal situation. Unfortunately, it's going to put us having to navigate the Ningala Rock crossing in pitch black dark, which is never a good idea. On the bright side, both vehicles have been fitted with TJM's latest HID lights, which will help a lot. Finally, it's time to make a move. I must admit, forward driving at night can be a lot of fun, but it does make things a lot more challenging. One thing that does concern me though is Don's vision is questionable during daylight hours, let alone at night. So steering the Triton through these narrow rock crevices is going to be tricky.
I can see the white water crashing over the coffee rock up here, so I'm going to wait for a big set of waves to come in, and as it washes away, I'm going to hit it. Now, I'm a little bit concerned about the main ledge up here. I know the Troopy will make it up, but the Triton has a little bit less ground clearance by comparison, so once I get up, I'll just park the car there for a bit and make sure Don makes it through okay. Here we go.
This ledge coming up is deceptively steep, so rather than attacking it straight on, I'm coming in on a slight angle, so the Troopy only needs to climb up one wheel at a time. Once the Troopy's got through the hardest section, it's Don's turn to follow. The initial climb up on the rocks is made all the more difficult because the tide is still falling, so we're battling a lot of water as well. With the worst of it now behind us, Don can finally let his heart rate settle. And with only a few hours left till we set up camp for the night, he can sleep well in the knowledge that he's probably set an all-time record for the most bogs in one day on Fraser Island. With the barge to the mainland only operating in daylight hours, it means our trip home will have to wait until morning. The next day, it's a relaxing drive back from Fraser to our starting point at the Glasshouse Mountains.
Well, it's been a long journey, starting here at the Glasshouse Mountains, then heading all the way to the Sandy Cape at Fraser's most northern point, and then finishing back here at the beautiful Glasshouse Mountains. What a journey.
That was a great trip. Put this one on your bucket list. It's so close and easily accessible to Brisbane. Do it.
This four-wheel driving experience has only been a few hours north of Brisbane, yet it has all the exciting challenges you could ever wish for in an off-road adventure. From the rugged tracks of the Glasshouse Mountains to the many varied water hazards of Fraser Island and its soft sand traps on its beaches and tracks. Not to mention the misguided navigation of one of our drivers.
There's a normal bog and then there's a Don bog.
To accessorise your four-wheel drive so you can tackle the toughest off-roading conditions, check out your nearest TJM dealer. And for the latest in tips and techniques to help give you the confidence to explore the world off-road, check out the TJM website.
Thanks for joining us on this trip. We look forward to bringing you another great TJM adventure really soon.
Out and Back, a TJM equipped production.